Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to. Hello. Welcome back to.
Flip over it. That was pretty crazy.
That was pretty crazy.
Okay,
welcome back to the 6th episode of our little ditty here on cyber security for the Seoul 2013 Cyber Conference, here happening at the COEX Mall, 16th, 17th, and 18th of October. So please check it out. Today we're going to talk about the 5th theme, which is cyber crime.
Yes.
Now, anytime we're talking about cyber threats, we always end up talking about, identity theft and that kind of stuff. This is the day we're actually going to talk about that, cyber crime. Now, we talked about the idea of cyber threats from a national level. What happens if it's a threat of military origin that's attacking whether it's private sector or citizens and public sector facilities and things like that. Now we're going to talk about sub-state actors, individuals or criminal organizations that are working to achieve criminal activity and criminal goals. First, we're going to define cybercrime as they see it. There's a growing global concern over the increase of cybercrime. Investigating and prosecuting cyber criminals is challenging on account of the need for cross-jurisdiction and technical expertise. International cooperation in cybercrime, especially among law enforcement agencies and the private sector, is one of the key success factors that will keep cyberspace open and secure. There have been notable successes, but significant challenges remain, which can only be addressed through cross-border collaboration. Now let's talk about the objective here. To identify measures to efficiently counter cybercrime through multilateral and transnational cooperation, including public and private partnerships. Of course, the public sector being state agencies and the private sector being businesses. So let's jump into this first discussion question, shall we? What are the success stories of international collaboration on cybercrime issues, and what are some of the remaining challenges? Well,
there's actually a success story.
Well, there's actually been a couple. I'm actually going to tie this back into one of our previous conversations. Remember back when we talked about the PlayStation Network hacking?
Yeah.
They actually were able to catch some of the people involved in that. Actually, the threat originated from the United States. So even though it was a Japanese company that was attacked, the FBI, America's Federal Bureau of Investigation, was actually the one to track down some of these individuals and take them out. I think that's there you go. Obviously, being American nationals, far away from Japan, they probably thought they were pretty safe.
Yeah.
Through the identity wall that is the internet, plus the fact that they were attacking a foreign organization that was very far away from themselves. They probably thought they were pretty secure, thought they were okay, but they weren't. Now, those cases are still being prosecuted. We don't know if they're going to be found guilty. You know how long the legal system takes and all that.
Oh my gosh!
But the very fact that they were on the other side of the world and still were able to be caught, I think that's at least a small victory in fighting cybercrime. At least there was enough communication and enough collaboration between notice I said collaboration, not cooperation. I'll talk about that in a second. Between Japan and the U.S. that were able to bring at least some of these folks to justice. I think that it is a small victory.
I'll accept it.
You'll accept that. Now, the difference between cooperation and collaboration is when both parties see such great good in helping each other out that they're willing to lend a hand. Collaboration is a little different. Collaboration is you see the great disaster that can come from acting alone. And so you help others, or you want others to help you, because not helping each other has too great of a risk. And I think that in cybercrime issues, we're going to see a lot more collaboration rather than cooperation.
Which really isn't that surprising.
Yes. Well, in this particular case, Japan relies a lot on copyright law and relies a lot on the U.S. as a market, and vice versa. The U.S. relies a lot on copyright law and relies a lot on Japan as a market. So when something like this kind of cross-border incident happens that threatens copyright protection, that threatens e-commerce, they're going to want to react because they both have so much to lose in this situation. And I think that's why collaboration happened. Where collaboration doesn't happen is where the other party doesn't see the risk, or there is no tangible risk to themselves, so they don't care. A great example is this type of cooperation does not happen with the U.S. and Russia. It definitely doesn't happen with the U.S. and China, and will never happen with the U.S. and Iceland. We had talked before, Pirate Bay, the torrent site, they actually have a political party in Iceland.
Huh?
Yeah, there is a
We wish Jack Sparrow to be our president.
yes, there is a legitimate in quotation marks, a political party whose basis of their platform is we want to steal stuff on the internet and we want to make sure other people can steal stuff on the internet and us make ad revenue off of other people's works. And they actually hold seats in the government of Iceland. I'm not making that up. That is completely true. You can Google it now. I'll put a link below. There's no collaboration happening there. Iceland, as its government body, does not see the risk. A lot of these things being pirated are not intellectual property rights of Iceland, so they don't see any ad revenue, potential revenue lost. No hit to them. They don't see the risk. Therefore, they're not willing to collaborate. If cooperation was the leading driving force, they would be willing to help anyways because they want to help each other out. But
yeah, they realize it's wrong.
Yeah, but it's not happening there. So there is the big issue: is if you can't get the other party, if the other party is not at risk, or you can't convince them that they're at risk. China's making a lot of products. Eventually, international copyright law is going to be important to them. But right now, they don't see the risk. And until you convince them that there is a risk, there's never going to be that collaboration. So I think that's the next big challenge. Yep. Moving on. How can we build on some of the best practices that we have seen on tackling cybercrime globally by public and private cooperation among law enforcement, the private sector, technical community, etc.?
Well, what we do is we see how McGee does it off of NCIS. And they're like, all right, we need more people like that. MIT, get on it.
Yes, indeed.
Shout out to Sean Murray. I love McGee. He's my favorite in the show.
There you go.
Well, along with Gibbs and Ducky and Tony.
Special Agent Gibbs.
To be honest, everyone on that show's awesome.
It's putting it out there. If you have not watched NCIS, I would recommend it. Pretty enjoyable show. But carrying on. Like I said before, with cyber crime, a lot of times it's attacking businesses. It's attacking intellectual property right. It's attacking banks. It's attacking companies and their services. So that is the private sector. The private sector is the one that's being hurt the most by international crime, cybercrime at the moment. Obviously, individuals can be attacked. The identity theft and the like, but a lot of times, especially for organized crime, they're going after the bigger target.
Yeah.
Having this guy's identity, you can rack up a credit card bill of $10,000 versus attack this corporation where you can get $1 million off them. They're going to attack the bigger target. So the business sector has a lot to lose in this situation. So for them, collaboration is of the utmost importance. I do not think we currently have great cooperation between the public sector and private sector on this. You can boil it down to a lot of things. A big thing I think is whenever they try to come up with legislation, it's not very well written or it's very odd. Do you remember SOPA?
SOPA.
Yeah, this is a big internet thing a little while back. It was a copyright protection law that the goal was to make it legal to shut down these torrent sites and legal to shut down sites that were stealing intellectual property right in the States. Okay. So on paper, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Right now, the law is too vague. There's been maybe only a dozen people that have ever been prosecuted for stealing.
If you don't word it properly, you could easily shut down something like YouTube.
That's exactly what was happening. Is websites like even Wikipedia would have been affected.
That's all made up stuff, anyways.
Yeah. But because of the incorrect way in which it was written, it was written by politicians and lawyers that weren't too clear on what a lot of these terms meant or what a lot of the ramifications of these.
This word is big. It has about 12 letters. Let's throw that in there.
There was an infamous quote by a Democratic lawmaker who will remain anonymous, and she said, "No, I did not read it because it was too long." If you're not reading it and you're trying to sign it, if it's too long to read and you're not reading it, don't sign it. It sounds kind of no-brainer, but especially when it's using vague language, if you don't know what you're signing into law, don't sign it. And there's a huge backlash from it, and it completely collapsed. Now you have this huge internet backlash where anytime there's any kind of legislation that's put up like this about copyright laws, the internet immediately overreacts. The internet doesn't even know the law of the language. A lot of these aren't made completely public, so they don't even know what's going into it, but they're just going to react negatively because of how poor their first effort was. So there isn't a lot of collaboration that's happening from the civil level either. So what needs to happen is the businesses need to say, okay, this is what we want to see happen. The civil society steps in and says, okay, this is how it's going to affect us, and here's how much we're willing to give on it, how much we're willing to compromise. We don't want to be stepping on people's rights at the same time. And also business rights. That we said before, YouTube is a business. Wikipedia, sadly, is a business. A lot of these websites that would have been affected are businesses, and we have to respect their rights as well as the rights of music producers and movie producers. They need to come together and be talking on the same wavelength, using the same type of language. And until that kind of collaboration happens, I don't see good policies being made. If good policies aren't being made, law enforcement isn't going to have a leg to stand on. That's my take on the issue.
Agreed.
How can we build cybercrime capacity in all countries on an effective and sustainable basis? Oh, man. Now, here we go again to you're never going to get everyone to agree on everything.
Never. Not even sort of. You can't even get everyone to agree that Pokemon is better than Digimon.
Yes. the important cybercrime issue of the day. Pokemon is better, by the way.
The original Digimon was pretty legit. All right, you got Ty, Matt, TK, Izzy. I love Izzy. But, come on. Pokemon. Anyways, back to topic.
Back to topic. You're never gonna get these countries to agree on everything. Like I said, the way China views the internet and views civil liberties and freedom and businesses, they're still technically a communist party, is never going to be exactly the same as the U.S. or heck, as France or any other place. It's going to be hard to create something that's truly global. Even look at something that's supposed to be global, like Interpol. International police, there's still a lot of places that are just like, jog on, we don't care, and aren't cooperating with them and aren't and are not giving them what they feel is the international norm. So I don't think we'll ever have that kind of global institution that they want. But what we can do is start to find common ground. Now, it's going to sound bad. Coercion. Now, of course, coercion is a very negative sounding word. But especially when it comes to things like the WTO, World Trade Organization, I replaced the GATT.
The GATT?
The GATT. No.
Wow, what about that? Sorry.
General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs.
Oh, I'm thinking a gun.
Yes, exactly.
Laughing the hood.
Yes. Now, that organization created a lot of norms on trade. Now, it hasn't been perfect. WTO is still going through a lot of growing pains and did a dote around and everything else. They were able to create a lot of norms for trade. Now, it's not perfect, but they're able to alleviate a lot of the weird protectionism that's going on. Again, it's not perfect. Japan, I'm looking at you. But they're making some progress.
Yeah.
How they did it was, okay, we see this country struggling. We want to open up our trade. We want to liberalize our trade. If you go to our standard, we'll give you some money. We'll help you out. In exchange, you play by our rules. Yeah. That's what happened. Actually what happened to South Korea. That's what happened to a lot of East Asian countries. Now, there's a lot of people that said, you're putting so much strings on the money. That. Well, from the organization's point of view, they don't have to help, but they want to help because they want to expand their market. But there's no point in expanding the market if not willing to play by their rules. So I'm not going to take sides on this, but I am going to say that they have been fairly effective, at least on basic levels for trade and tariffs. I think they can expand this to creating some form of understanding of international copyright laws, of agreeing to certain procedures when it comes to cybercrime. Even if it's something small, like if a cybercrime incident happens and we report it, you have to investigate it. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of trust with this. We talked about that before on the international side of cybersecurity. But as long as there's something in place, that's a start.
Yeah.
That's a start. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to work all the way. Like I said, you're never going to get full agreement out of everybody unless you just try to conquer the world. But if anything short of that, I think you need to make baby steps. And I think that first baby step is start baking some of these agreements into some of these trades and tariff laws in future versions of the World Trade Organization meetings. All right. How can we ensure the adoption of practical mechanisms to ensure international cooperation despite differing legal environments? I guess those two questions are kind of interlinked. Like I said, you tie it into other forms of trade liberalization. You want access to our money, you want access to our banks, you want access to our market, fine. But in exchange, you play by our rules, we get access to your market, and you need to start adopting some of these laws. And enforcement's always going to be an issue. Heck, you've seen the way international copyright law is held here in South Korea.
What copyright laws? That's copyright.
Yes. Infringement.
Yes. Shout out to Nigga Higa there.
Yeah, yes.
But no, like the Exterminator commercial, they always play they play the Ghostbusters theme in it, and they even say Ghostbusters in it. So it's like they're not even trying to hide it. And it has nothing to do with ghost busting. They're exterminating cockroaches. But still, it makes me giggle.
Or when you're watching
Running Man.
I love Running Man to death. But the music they'll be playing, you're like, oh, you guys don't have the right to play that music.
No.
There needs to be some kind of dialogue going on. There needs to be some kind of cooperation here. Or, like I said, more likely, collaboration. Once South Korea realizes, oh, wow, if we don't respect these copyright laws, then people are going to start using Gangnam Style. They're going to start using Girls' Generation illegally, and they're not going to pay us for it. We better start playing by the rules if we want to reap some of the benefits of this. And a lot of that just comes with time, and as nations grow and their economies grow bigger.
Realize they can make money.
Yeah. So, again, people aren't going to get along unless there is a reason to get along. So I think that's the first big step, is convincing them that they have just as much to lose by not playing ball. So this has been our talk here on cybercrime. We didn't get too much into, again, I tend to think too high level. I can't think of national level just because of my background, my training. I want to hear what you guys think. What about the on the individual level? How do you think certain policymakers and certain police enforcement actions can either improve or worsen the situation on the civil level? I want to hear what you guys have to say. Please share this video. Please give your own responses, either in comments below or make your own video. Spread the word. Get people talking. Again, the conference is coming up. At this point, it's going to come up pretty soon. Please keep active. Keep looking up information. Again, that website is www.seoulcyber2013.kr/en for English. And I'll talk to you guys later. Stay safe.
It hurts, Jamin. It's angled up.